Well, told you yesterday I thought I was going to try to make a video starting a fire, so I'm going to do that. I know everybody likes watching the fire once it gets going, but I'm not going to talk about making the fire this time. I'm going to talk about a different subject while making the fire. That way, if you don't like what I'm talking about, you can ignore it and just watch the fire, which is what most people do with my fire videos anyways. So, I have said many times in the past that I'm not a big fan of doctors. And I get a lot of criticism for that. People will say things to me that I need to get checked out all the time in the comment section and in real life, telling me what I need to do and who to go see and why I need to go see it and how important it is that I go see them. And I say no. I'm not interested. I've seen too many failures in the system to say that I'm interested. I was self-employed for 10 years and I didn't have insurance. And I didn't have to go to the doctor one time. I went to the hospital one time and it was a $2,000 bill and I just paid payments. Got it paid off, I think, in 10 months. And I saw it as a savings. Instead of paying years and years and years of insurance and only using it once every 10 years, I only paid the $2,000 that the hospital wanted. Whereas paying the insurance may have cost me, I don't know, $20,000. I'm just using a guess. But you see what I'm saying? It was a savings. Now, I know there could be some catastrophe that I need the insurance and all that. I mean, I get all the arguments. And, for example, I've lost sight in my eye. Now, I do intend to get it fixed, admittedly. Especially if my other eye starts to fade. That way I can still drive. That's important to me. So, but I'm only going to do one eye at a time. That way, if they mess this eye up, I still got an eye. I'm not going to do both of them and hope and, beg that they do it right. And both, at the same time, whatever. Somebody told me, I got the best doctor in the world. I went in for back surgery and they opened me up and their equipment didn't work. So they had to sew me back up. I have to go back in for another surgery. No way, no. If you're so incompetent that you open someone up and find out that your equipment isn't working, that's just beyond anything I can imagine. You wouldn't get away with that in a regular business. You started a project, I don't know. Let's say you were working on someone's heat in the middle of a deep freeze. It's, negative 60 degrees outside. You call the guy to come in and fix your heater, and his equipment breaks right when he has everything tore apart. It's completely unacceptable. But when it comes to a doctor, oh no, that's okay. He's just trying to help. No, he's incompetent. And I have another experience that I thoroughly addressed on this channel years ago. I'm not going to bring it up again. It was a mistake then, and I'm not going to repeat the mistake by simply repeating what had happened. But there was a case where a doctor was trying to steal money from us. It was obvious that he was trying to steal money from us. And that was the last straw for me. I was just absolutely done with doctors. When the patient wasn't any longer, I don't know how to put it, wasn't his care. He didn't care about the patient. As a matter of fact, what the patient would have to have gone through would have been terrible. He just wanted the money. It was a lot of money, too. A lot. And it wouldn't have helped this person at all. Made me very angry. And that, like I said, that was the final straw for me with doctors. Not that I trusted them much before that. But then we had the whole thing, 5 years ago? And all these doctors were telling us we need to get vaccinated. And it pitted family members against each other. It pitted mine. My family thought I needed to go out and get this thing. And I kept saying, nah, I'm not totally fine with it. And it made people mad. And here we are years later, and we're learning that people are getting sick from the vaccine, maybe even dying from the vaccine. And no one's come up and apologized to me for saying, I told you to get that, but I was wrong. That was just a bad advice. I just trusted the doctor. They don't say things like that. Instead, well, they were just trying to do the best they can. No, they weren't. They were trying to make money. I understand doctors got to make money, but they hide behind the excuse of, I'm trying to help, and everybody excuses their mistakes because insurance is the one that has to pay the penalty. Not if it was a mechanic, if you took a mechanic and they fraudulently put parts onto your car that it didn't need, and you found out about it, you took the mechanic and, why did I have to do all this? And the mechanic says, oh no, you didn't have to do it. You would immediately sue the mechanic, and the mechanic would probably be arrested. But when a doctor does it, it's hidden behind all these shields. Oh yeah, they got malpractice insurance and all that, but it's never a serious consequence for them. Rarely do you hear of doctors being charged with fraudulent operations or convincing patients to do an operation that they really shouldn't be getting. They try to scare them into doing things that they really don't need to be doing. And I know that many people are going to disagree with me. Oh, my doctor's the best. I'm sure everybody believes that. But I have heard a lot of people say, my doctor's the best, and then die. Well, they can't be that good if they promise to save your life. Oh, no, they don't promise us that. No, of course not. They can't. But a mechanic needs to promise you that he can fix the car. So you're going to take this low-educated person who has some skill and take him to the clingers, the ringers, or whatever you want to call it. But a doctor who has spent years studying medicine is allowed to do fraudulent things, is allowed to make mistakes, is allowed to get insurance to pay for those mistakes. Where's the consequences? You rarely hear it, unless there's an absolute ethical breakdown, like maliciously did something and it was easily provable. So, again, I don't have a lot of faith in them. So I watched the video, and I went back and forth as to whether I wanted to identify his name. And my own ethics just doesn't allow me to do it. It's aggravating because I really want to expose him, because it only amplifies what I already believe about doctors. So this doctor he claims to be some sort of, he implies he's a psychiatrist or psychologist or something like that. But in actuality, he's just some sort of teacher. He's got a PhD, but I don't even understand what it is, but I don't think he actually has patience. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway. But he makes these videos, and he says, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. And then he goes into whatever it is he's going to talk about. Well, you may not heard about this YouTuber who has been brought up on Tennessee tax fraud. Not federal tax fraud, Tennessee tax fraud. And it had to do with this car that he bought in Montana. And Tennessee wanted their tax money, and he didn't. Now, do I think the YouTuber should pay his taxes? Yes. We all need to pay his taxes. Do I think the YouTuber fraudulently didn't pay his taxes? Actually, in my opinion, I don't think he meant to defraud anybody. I think he hired an accountant who was trying to stretch the tax code, and somehow got him an LLC in Montana. Look, here's the thing. When these young YouTubers, and I know there are a lot of old folks out here who absolutely hate these young YouTubers making tons of money on YouTube, but I actually feel sorry for them. This kid, I think his name's Whistling Diesel. I think this kid just made a mistake. What happens is his first video, I'm elaborating a little bit, but His first video, he had this old junk truck that he had pieced together with baling wire and bubble gum. And he completely demolished it on video. And it was a massive success. Millions of views. And overnight, he became a poor farmer on his grandpa's farm with a young wife, young kid, to instant riches. I would imagine his first video brought him, I don't know, several $100,000. Or even thousands of dollars. Just in one video. Well, his channel escalated quickly. And now he's got like 10 million subscribers. Every video gets millions of views. And so you got this young kid trying to grow from being a poor farmer on his grandpa's farm to a company owner with multiple employees, trying to handle logistics. He's got to buy these cars all the time or whatever it is, spend money, make money. He's had to start other brands. I think he sells beer. He has his name on beer. He sells all the parts that are just, from these trucks that he destroys. He sells the pieces of those vehicles. So I mean, it's just a huge corporation now. And you got to think this kid had no idea how to do it. So he's relying on people to tell him how to do it. Accountants and lawyers. And they're misguiding him. So this doctor, you would think, would make a video. If you're going to make a video about whistling diesel, you would think, because there's tons of psychology behind, I think it's called shock fame or shock riches or something. I mean, it was shock something. So there's an actual scientific term for what this kid went through growing a company so fast, making millions of dollars so fast. So you would think Dr. Grande would focus on that. There's still drama and there's still the pain and the growth, and the audience would have been just thrilled with the idea of thinking about this kid suffering being a millionaire. I know, that's crazy, but when I look at it from that perspective, I absolutely feel sorry for this kid. Yeah, he's got money, he can buy whatever he wants, and that sounds great. But the stress that would go along with it would be unimaginable. But no, that's not what this doctor does. This doctor, instead, criticizes him, insinuating that he has intentionally defrauded the government. Now, I watched this kid's video. It was basically an apology video, kind of. Not really, but kind of. His explanation of what had happened. And he even brought up the accountants. That he has accountants. So, even if you hire an accountant as a young YouTuber, you would think, okay, I'm going to hire an accountant. But then the accountant goes and tries to stretch the tax code and all that. How does a young, poor person know which accountant to hire? He looks in the phone book or on Google and says, I need an accountant. And there's one that pops up and you say, hey, can you do my taxes? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. Sure. You get an LLC in Montana, you won't have to pay Tennessee tax code. Okay. Whatever. You don't know. So this doctor on YouTube criticizes him for being basically a liar and a thief and a tax fraud, instead of focusing on the trauma of trying to deal with overnight riches. So he says that he should always pay his taxes, he should always default to the honesty, always be a good person, and do it that way. And I agree. Hey, doctor, you're right. He made a mistake. He should err on the side of caution. He should pay every state's taxes just to be safe, because he was in Texas and Montana and Tennessee with that car. Heck, give everybody money. I agree. You need to be honest. But then, later in the video, he says what this Cody should have done, Whistling Diesel should have done, is bought a cheaper car. What happened was this Cody, he bought a Ferrari for like $500,000 and then destroyed it. That's his channel. That's what he does. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't care. That's not the point. So he destroys this car, this $500,000 car. What doctor said was Cody should have bought a salvage title, and he probably could have bought that for like $80,000. And then he could have lied to his audience and told him, because they're not, and he said this, they wouldn't be smart enough to know that it wasn't a $500,000 car. So lied to the audience, paid the Tennessee taxes, which would have been much less. I think the taxes on the $500,000 car was $30,000. And then, of course, you know, $80,000 car would be much cheaper. And that way, you're safe with the taxes and you're safe with the audience. But ethically, as a doctor, a psychiatrist, or whatever you are with your PhD, you have violated your ethics. It's like code C of his ethics that he's got to do. I've looked it up. I don't know exactly what it is. And there's an actual ethic where you cannot tell a patient or his audience to lie. So he has a double standard of lying. You don't lie to the government. No, that's a bad thing. You lie to your audience. You won't get caught. Well, that's nonsense. Of course he's going to get caught. Think about this. He buys a salvage title, Ferrari, tells his audience, I just bought myself a $500,000 car. Let's tear it up. And the guy who sold him the salvage title immediately makes a video. Instantaneously makes a video. No, I sold him a salvage title. That thing was only worth $80,000. So now his business is completely destroyed because he's lost the confidence of his audience. So not only did this doctor try to get him to lie to his audience, he has intentionally tried to get the Cody to destroy his own channel with the lie. Don't get me wrong. The tax thing is terrible. And honestly, I hope his lawyer is able to prove that it was an honest mistake. He listened to his accountant. I hope they arrest the accountant for bad advice or whatever legal thing they got to do with the accountant. And I hope Cody pays his taxes and he learns from his mistake. He hires better accountants. Maybe he gets a team of accountants. I don't know. But maybe he'll learn. Maybe he can improve himself on this. I truly do believe him. But the doctor was cynical, sarcastic, made jokes. He was deliberately being mean. And for what? A young guy trying to learn how to navigate sudden wealth? It would be terrifying to me. I wouldn't want to do it. So that's why I don't trust doctors. So if you'll click this up next box, take you a video over my other channel. It'll be a brand new video today. I really appreciate it. Go check it out. So I hope I can inspire you to really analyze things so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.